differences. Sometimes it can also result in arguments or perhaps a little bit heated discussion. Now, is there any particular act of ibadah in this blessed month of Rabi al-Awwal?
Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters and viewers at home. So Rabi al-Awwal is the month that is most likely that the Prophet ﷺ was born in. More specifically, maybe the 12th of Rabi al-Awwal. There are some differences as to what the days are. And there are different approaches as to this particular day. As Muslims, do we celebrate it? Do we do anything in particular? And sometimes you find there is discussions dealing with this issue in particular.
Correct.
However, this is a yearly occurrence, and it doesn't seem to bring about a solution, meaning that there are two clear camps as to what one is supposed to do on this particular day, and that one year to the next, it really kind of the same issues are brought up.
That's correct.
And it doesn't, looking on a macro level, doesn't bring the Muslims unified in any one way. So what I would say is that we should recognize something called adabul khilaf, and that is the manners of differing. Now, putting to one side, and maybe I'll mention it shortly, but the issue of differing with your fellow brother on an issue is something which is extremely important, and how you explain to them the position that you hold is very important. We find in the Quran, likewise in the Sunnah of Rasulullah ﷺ, a very wise way in educating people. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Udu'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah," the call to the path of your Lord with wisdom, using the Quran and Sunnah. So when we are advising other people, it is important that we have a good intention, sincere intention to bring that person to the truth, what we believe to be the truth at least, and not to be harsh when discussing and dealing with the other side. It is easy to say, yes, a person holds the position that they do not celebrate it, that this is a bid'ah, this is an innovation, and this has no basis in the religion. A person may hold that position and maybe they believe that they are correct, okay. But if you want to then educate people about your position, then do you expect the person to listen to you if you're going to come across with that approach? Okay. So I think if we really want to have a good discussion about, do we celebrate the birthday of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that yes, you can talk about the facts and the evidences for both, but the approach on both sides in how to have a dialogue and a discussion about how to come to that what is most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair. So in other words, there has to be a mutual understanding, respect, and if there is difference in opinion, should we then look for division? Now, the problem with us is if I may disagree with you or disagree with someone, that's it, that's the end. Or should it be that we may have our differences, but in no way it should be allowed to get into division?
100%, and you've put it in a nutshell there essentially. And I think that even if you hold a position that you believe that it is not something that should be celebrated, you're entitled to that. But however, the most important thing is that you want to propagate or want to teach other people your position in a wise way, and not to draw and drive people away, because I assume that there are other issues that you will differ with that individual, not just the Mawlid.
Correct.
There are a number of other issues. So if we really want to educate people and teach people what you to believe to be from the Quran and Sunnah, then do it in a way which allows that person's heart to be opened so they can receive the knowledge from you. Allahu a'lam.
Thank you very much. I believe that answers any of your questions if anyone has it in their heart. And as Sheikh has mentioned, indeed, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the best of character. And inshallah, we should reflect on his character and inshallah try and emulate in our day-to-day activities. Now, Sheikh, moving on, we've got a lot of questions on WhatsApp. Let's begin with our first question. And that is, can you read Ayatul Kursi in Salah after Surah Fatiha?
No. So, number one, the recitation after Surah Al-Fatiha is Sunnah. It is not an essential part or pillar of the prayer. Reciting Al-Fatiha is. So any Quran that's recited after Surah Al-Fatiha is something recommended. And if you want to recite at least one ayah, then that is satisfactory. And seeing that Ayatul Kursi is one verse, it is permissible for you to read by Ayatul Kursi alone after Surah Al-Fatiha. Wallahu a'lam.
Thank you very much. Moving on swiftly to the next question now. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Pertaining to the recent flooding in certain parts of the UK, what dua can we make to protect our homes from the elements which can be so destructive? Subhanallah.
Yeah. So, no doubt, Allah Azza wa Jal tests us in different ways. And this is something that is mentioned in the Quran, that He subhanahu wa ta'ala will test us with
Motivational Moments with 500 top quotes selected by you from Facebook and Twitter. From the man who's been touching millions of lives daily, Mufti Menk. Available now on motivationalmoments500.com. Also on Amazon Kindle and Apple iBooks.
Light Upon Light is going on vacation. Join Mufti Menk on an experience of a lifetime at one of Turkey's finest 5-star resorts. Enjoy a family getaway packed with activities and entertainment, as well as jam-packed youth programs, dedicated beach, swimming pools, spa and women-only facilities. We also got you covered with mouth-watering all-you-can-eat buffet. Join us during the spring break, 5th to 9th April 2020. Open to everyone from around the world. Secure your family vacation now. Visit lightuponlight.co.uk.
Oh my Allah, you are my Lord, I bow to you. Allah, oh my Allah, you are my Lord, I bow to you. Allah, oh my Allah, you are my Lord, I bow to you. Allah.
هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن.
He is Allah, beside whom there is no other God, the King, the Holy One, the source of peace, the giver of security, the guardian, the overpowering authority. The name Al-Salam conveys two meanings. The first refers to soundness, and the second refers to Allah being the bestower of peace. The first meaning refers to the absolute perfection of Allah's existence. He is in no need of sleep. He does not tire, nor does he possess any shortcoming. He says,
الله لا إله.
Light Upon Light is going on vacation. Join Mufti Mek on an experience of a lifetime at one of Turkey's finest 5-star resorts. Enjoy a family getaway packed with activities and entertainment, as well as jam-packed youth programs, dedicated beach, swimming pools, spa and women-only facilities. We also got you covered with mouth-watering all-you-can-eat buffet. Join us during the spring break 5th to 9th April 2020. Open to everyone from around the world. Secure your family vacation now. Visit lightuponlight.co.uk.
Welcome back to Ask Eman, live interactive from the studio of Eman channel, watched on Sky 757. And this is the very program where you have any questions pertaining to our day-to-day activities, then inshallah please do not hesitate and use the usual contact methods appearing at the bottom of your TV screen. Now Sheikh, moving on swiftly to the next question, which has been asked by a brother. Under what condition is it allowed to buy a home with mortgage or loan from the bank?
طيب, Bismillah. So concerning taking loans, whether for the purpose of buying a car or a house, which of course will come in the form of a mortgage, if they have riba, interest within it, it is not permissible for you to take that loan out. It's haram. I am aware of maybe some fatwa that if it's your first home or it's a home that you will live in, those scholars will, of course, they take the responsibility for giving that fatwa, but the vast majority and those who take the other view do not allow the taking of riba under any circumstance.
Okay.
So the situation on this is that Allah knows best. It wouldn't be permitted for you to take out a loan which is involved in riba. Allah knows best.
Just to cover the whole subject, when you mentioned about some scholar, now some scholar, even if they mention that it may be permissible, but certain condition needs to be fulfilled. So perhaps they may not directly say, okay, you can have it because it's your first home, but there may be some conditions that if they fulfill those shurut, then perhaps they may look into it. But
yeah, I mean, a subject like this is maybe it's not necessarily the platform for us to go into great detail. We oversimplify the issue. But yeah, there isn't just if it's your first time, then you can just go ahead and do it. They do have conditions that they'll have to be fulfilled.
Okay.
This is one particular view. However, my teachers and so on are of the view of the other. It's not permitted. That's what I am off. Allahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair. Moving on swiftly to the next question. Now, do I have to seek forgiveness from my sister that I lied to, or only to Allah?
So, any sin that you commit, first and foremost, you seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness. You ask Allah Jalla wa ala to forgive you. Because Allah Azza wa Jalla is the one who forgives all sins. Human beings do not forgive sins. However, if you've taken away the right of another person, or you have dishonored another person, you can ask for that individual's to overlook and to forgive you on that sense, meaning that they won't take that with them until they meet you on Yawm al-Qiyamah. You can ask Allah, you can ask that individual to forgive you on that level. So yes, but ultimate forgiveness, removal of sin, is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you've done wrong to somebody, as I mentioned, then you ask that individual for forgiveness, so that you have a settlement in this life and not in the hereafter.
Now, some may think that I've wronged perhaps before acquiring knowledge or understanding about it. I might have backbited, I might have talked ill about a lot of people. Now, how can I go back to all those people, perhaps most of them I can't even remember? What's the remedy for them?
Yeah, so if you've spoken about an individual in a bad way or dishonored them, and it's at times if you were to speak to them directly, you can make the situation worse, number one. Or number two, that you don't have any way of contacting that person again. So what can you do in this situation? What you can do is that number one is that you ask Allah Azza wa Jalla forgiveness, that remains with you. And secondly is that if you have an opportunity to speak well again about that individual,
I see.
as you had previously spoken bad about them, you now speak them in glowing terms. You speak about them in an honorable way. This is something that you can do. And you can make dua for them. You ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to raise their status. So making dua and supplicating for them is another good thing that you can do for them, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala.
Thank you very much. Now, we've been getting a lot of questions via WhatsApp, but you can call in. So please do not hesitate. And this is the very program where if you want any of your questions to be answered, you can dial in directly to the studio. And the telephone number is at the bottom of your TV screen. And please do not hesitate. If you have any question that you even can't put through, then inshallah do call into the control room, and inshallah the questions will be you'll be forwarded as well. And in fact, if you feel hesitant, that's not a problem. You can WhatsApp or email us, or even leave your message on our social media platform. But we do strongly encourage, inshallah, if you would like to call in, then please feel free to call into the studio to speak to the Sheikh and ask any of your questions that you would like to get answered. Now, moving back to some more questions, Sheikh. I work in a digital bank as a security guard. This bank doesn't hold any money and everything is done digitally. They still are involved in riba, and it's more of an office for the company and not an actual bank. Will my earnings still be halal or not? And what would you recommend me to do if this is my only rizq?
Okay. So usually, I would assume this is the case, that security companies are outsourced and not actually an employee of the bank itself. And you're protecting the entry to the building, not facilitating the goings on in the building itself. So your presence there and your work as a security guard is something which is separate from the work that's going on there. So inshallah ta'ala, it's permissible for you to have this job, and there's no need for you to worry about your income. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Thank you very much for clarifying that. Now, moving on to the next question. As Muslims, are Muslims allowed to participate with our children in interfaith initiative organized by a local masjid, walking together with people of other faiths by candlelight, visiting a number of churches, listening to speeches by leaders of different faiths, and sharing a buffet halal meal catered in the church stop? Our masjid was urging us to attend to show a strong Muslim presence, solidarity, and respect for other faiths. Should we support these kind of event, or better to abstain?
Okay, so the topic of interfaith is a very important component for all Muslims in all societies, especially in the West, that they participate in that. And I recommend, and I've seen great work that has been achieved through interfaith dialogue. I've participated in myself in some masajid, especially in Southeast London. There's some good masajid there who do a lot of great work, mashallah. And that has helped them on many levels in dealing with the community on many issues. There are times when the interfaith kind of engagement is something which is not necessarily religious based per se, but it is something which is a community based. And something like that is not too much of a problem, inshallah ta'ala, with yourselves, and if you have youth participating. However, other issues where it can be quite sensitive, especially about matters of faith, where the discussion can be quite detailed and maybe at times can cause some confusion. So on this issue, I would say that it's probably preferable to avoid getting yourselves in a situation where it may cause confusion. But in other matters where it is community-based, then it is not a problem, inshallah ta'ala. And it is important we differentiate between the two in the types of activities which are involved in the interfaith. Allah knows best.
Now, because we're in the question of interfaith, now we know Christmas is not too far. We've got those coming up very soon. Now, our neighbours, our friends, colleagues might invite us to their gathering, to the feast, to the meal, whatever it is. Now, how do we engage now? Because sometimes it's very difficult to say no, because they could be our colleague, they could be someone we know professionally, they could be one of our close clients, etc., etc. Now, how do we balance making sure to fulfill the act of Sharia, at the same time having a good relationship with our colleagues or so on.
Yeah. So whenever you have contact from another person who is of a different faith and they're going to celebrate a different festival, your relationship with them is one of two. Either you know them quite well, or you don't know them very well. If you know them quite well, I would assume, well, it should be the case that if they know you quite well, that they should know that you're a Muslim. It's not something that you've hidden. It's not something that you are embarrassed to talk to them about. I.e., that if if they turn up your home with a bottle of wine, you would kindly say, thank you for the gesture. However, I don't drink alcohol because it is not permissible for me to consume alcohol in any shape or form. Or, for example, if somebody brought to you as a neighbor, they would bring to you some form of food which is clearly haram for you, that you would make it clear to them that, thank you very much for the gesture, but, I'm a Muslim and I don't consume such foods. Of course, I'm simplifying the dialogue. You do it in the best possible way. Now, if these things which are consuming alcohol and maybe eating foods which are haram, participating in activities or festivals which are far worse in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like celebrating what would be seen as the birth of Allah Jalla wa ala, is something far greater than alcohol and eating haram food. So if we have the courage to and the wisdom to say that this is not something I'm willing to accept, then it should go without saying that something far greater in our religion, seen even worse than that, we should, of course, in a very best way, say that I don't participate in that. So if you know them, they would know who you are and they would respect your views.
That's correct.
If you don't know them, then this is a great opportunity for you to start a da'wah with them. But we as Muslims really have to draw the line in certain things.
Now, you have nailed a very important point there. And alhamdulillah, living in a Western society now, our non-Muslim friends, colleagues, neighbors are aware there's certain things that Muslims do not consume, such as alcohol or pork, etc., etc. Alhamdulillah, due to the advent of media, social media, they're very well informed. Now, we have some Muslims will go to the extent that, we live in Western society, we have to become, or we need to make sure we're integrated in the society. And their understanding of integration means perhaps in our heart, we know that we do not associate any partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's just to make sure we are having a good relation with others. Now, in my heart, I'm very clean.
Sure.
Now, how do you tackle that? My intention is correct, but it's just the outward showing off.
So, throughout history, throughout time, Muslims have lived all around the world in different societies as majorities and as minorities as well. And alhamdulillah, there are many examples where Muslims who adhered to their faith as minorities didn't compromise on these issues. And it didn't pose a problem to the communities that they lived in, and that everybody respected each other's view. And this is something which ultimately we should recognize, that everybody is entitled to their respect and their views, and not to just dissolve away. And because the time will come when life becomes very difficult for you. So I would say is that, there's no need for you to compromise so much, and may Allah make it easy.
Thank you very much. It's again now time for a short break. Now do stay tuned with us. We'll be right back after a few moments, and inshallah we'll start taking your phone calls. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned with us. Thank you very much.
Global relief trusts are on the ground across the globe, including Yemen, Syria and Bangladesh, ensuring your aid is distributed to the most needy. We are a 100% donation policy charity, which means every penny you donate right now will go direct to the poor. Visit our website www.grtuk.org for all our projects. Millions are waiting for your donations right now.
Hashmat's Health A to Z multivitamins, halal, vegetarian, one a day, every day. Whoever has hair, look after it with our hair vitamins. All products including our vitamin D3 range are manufactured with pharmaceutical grade technology. For mothers who care, Hashmat's Health Pregnancy Formula is here for you. Buy now at hashmatshealth.com or contact us to become an official stockist of our food supplements that are made in the UK, knowing that 2.5% of all sales go to charitable causes. Every day, health is a blessing. hashmatshealth.com.
Get ready for a night of vocals in support of Muntada Aid with recitation, nasheed, spoken word, comedy, drama and an Ertugrul inspired act hosted by Navin Waz. Nasheeds featuring Ramzan Days, Ihsan Tamid, Saeed, Imtiaz Sidat, Ilyas Mao,
please forgive me for the sins
Nadeem Muhammad, and comedy by Smile to Jannah. A spectacular Ertugrul inspired act and a unique drama performed by Muslim Bilal. A 7-city tour from the 20th to the 26th of December. Book your early bird tickets now for this family-friendly evening at nightofvocals.co.uk.
Thank you very much for joining with us back again, and this is the last segment, and inshallah we hope that you are finding this program interactive. If you do have any question, please feel free to call in directly to the studio, and the telephone number for the studio is 0203-515-0769. Should you wish to drop us a text via WhatsApp or emailing us, or if you would like to leave us a message on social media platform, then all the necessary details are at the bottom of your TV screen. Inshallah, we have been taking your questions and we continue to do so. With us, we have Sheikh Wasim Kempson throughout the program. Now, Sheikh, moving on to a lot of questions to cover. Now, the next question is, what is the viewpoint on Qasida Burda? Is this permissible in Islam? Should one read, study, or should one refrain from this practice of reading and studying? What is the position of majority of scholars?
Right, Bismillah. So, two issues here. The first issue is that even if there is a majority opinion on a matter, doesn't necessarily mean it's right. Okay, the majority isn't necessarily a hujjah, is not a proof within itself. Sometimes when opinions are given, that they may say the majority of scholars say this, but there's not, that in and of itself is not necessarily a proof. Okay, so you may find a minority opinion which may be closer to that what is correct based upon the evidences. So this is the first issue. Second issue with Qasida al-Burda, this involves praise of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. Now there are elements of this particular lines of poetry which are to do with the praising of our beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, some of which is acceptable praise. But there are also, if you look at the entire set of lines of poetry and things like that, there are some problems with concerning the element of how to praise the Prophet ﷺ in a way which is maybe elevating him sallallahu alaihi wasallam to a level which Allah Jalla wa Ala did not give him.
So are you leading to the point shirk?
I don't say it, I mean, shirk, I mean, if you want to define shirk, is associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in different ways. But I would say that it is problematic.
I see.
In some of how the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is praised in the qasida, in the set of lines of poetry. But to one side, you know, there is no individual who is deserving of our love and praise and elevating and honoring than our beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And us mentioning something like this does not belittle and does not mean that we are discrediting the Prophet. We don't need this qasida, we don't need these lines of poetry to establish the status of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah Jalla wa Ala gave that to the Prophet and establishing him as uswatun hasana, as a most perfect and beautiful example, and that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam is upon a great manner, ala khuluqin azim. So it is important for us to remember these things, and also remember that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Do not go to extremes in praising me."
I see.
So bearing this in mind, and knowing that these lines of poetry maybe not in your language, you may be saying things which maybe are an issue. So the best way for us to demonstrate our love for the Prophet ﷺ is to adhere to his sunnah and to know his life, so that we can increase our iman through this. Allahu A'lam.
Great, and I can understand where did the viewer come with this question. Obviously, we are in the month of Rabiul Awwal. We will see a lot of messages instead of reciting the Quran, we'll be reciting qasida, naat, or whatever you want to say it, or nasheed, whatever you say. And some has that confusion that what is more important or which is more beneficial to it? Is it reciting the Quran in the masjid, or is it reciting nasheed in the masjid in the for the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And the other element to that I also would like to attach: people perhaps who show their love and compassion towards our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is rightfully they do, but when it comes to his akhlaq, or when it comes to the individual's character, that does not reflect what he or she says in the qasida, or he or she sees in the nasheed. So there is that kind of, some may use the word hypocrisy there. So how do you see that?
Yeah, so from the back, hypocrisy, I mean, you have hypocrisy in belief and hypocrisy in action. So when we start talking about hypocrisy, we're not talking about those people who be flung to the lowest parts of the hellfire. No, this is hypocrisy in belief. But hypocrisy in action, yes, can occur, that you say one thing and you do another, quite simply. Now, with regards to the masajid, the masajid were established to establish the prayers. So they were established to educate people. Okay, وَأَنَّ الْمَسَاجِدَ لِلَّهِ فَلَا تَدْعُوا مَعَ اللَّهِ أَحَدًا. That the masajid were there so that you go there and you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ in his life demonstrated and showed us the purpose of the masjid. And similarly did the Sahaba radiallahu anhum in showing us this is what the masajid are for going there to pray, to learn. And the recitation of the Quran is something which is a primary function of what is to be done inside the masjid. Now, for that to be left and to be substituted, even for a moment, is not something is correct. Then the person say, well, aren't we substituting beneficial knowledge at one particular time and leaving the Quran to one side? I.e. that we don't enter the masjid, and the moment we enter there, we are reciting Quran. Maybe there's a time for you just to ponder and make dhikr, which is not Quran. We're saying, yes, this is correct. However, a person shouldn't think that these types of actions are acceptable in reciting loads of these kind of nasheeds and poetry at the expense at particular times, because then we go back to another separate issue about the Mawlid, at the expense of leaving the Quran in this issue. Okay, so this practice is not something that was done at all, really, and there are problems with these issues. So we would say it's better for you to avoid such practices, and we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to guide us to that what is best and that is what is most pleasing to Him.
Now, another thing I want to, I know we've discussed it in the previous segment, I just wanted to touch, if someone is not eloquent in their speech, and if they speak, which may result in disappointment, in some sort of relationship breaking down, is it not best for that person to avoid this matter and leave it in the hands of the best capable people who can deal with these issues?
Yeah, I mean, a person may hold a position to say that I don't celebrate it, and really doesn't know much about the evidences, just as inherited an opinion, which they're entitled to follow because they're not a person of knowledge, has asked a person of knowledge, that person of knowledge said, it's not allowed. They just take that and they just tell everybody it's haram, 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 haram. And, and really is making more damage in concerning arriving at what to be is the correct opinion. You may say, I personally don't do it, I don't celebrate it, I know other people do that, but I don't. You want to start engaging in some form of dialogue, ensure that you can really deal with the topic in an academic way, or at least in a wise way, which doesn't split the ranks of the Muslims.
Thank you very much for clarifying. Moving on, next question. Is it permissible to say or text Jum'ah Mubarak on Fridays after giving salam?
Okay, Mumtaz, there's another issue. If a person just to do it as a one-off, no doubt that Yawm al-Jum'ah is a blessed day. It's the best day in the week, and we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to give us, barakah on this particular day. If a person said it as a one-off, then really there's not too much of an issue. The thing is now, and this is what it's become, it has now become something that a person will do every single week.
Friday, correct.
Every Friday, Jum'ah Mubarak, and messages constantly flowing in, and everyone's doing
all the social media platforms.
And then a person, maybe is new to the deen, said, this is from Islam. This is part of the Sunnah, maybe, when in fact it is not. So this is where later on down the road it becomes problematic. Okay, so in of itself as a one-off, okay, maybe may Allah will give you a blessed day, may Allah will give you tomorrow as a blessed day.
Okay.
But to isolate this day every week to say Jum'ah Mubarakah, then maybe I think this leads to problems in the future. I don't know is best.
And some people have that kind of also understanding, perhaps a particular day in the week is always good for them, perhaps from their business perspective, academic perspective, or work perspective. And that always make sure that day is somehow very significant to them. Now, as Muslim, can we make a particular day significant over other days or weeks?
Okay. So if a person happens to have a good day on a Wednesday, okay, this is not because it's Wednesday. You have a good day because Allah Azza wa Jal decreed you're going to have a good day on Wednesday. So you associate any good to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not the day. This is a very important issue. A very kind of detailed point, but a big difference. That, for example, they say, oh, when it comes to a certain time of the year, mashallah, this is when some things happen for me. It's not because of the time of year. It is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we attribute all good to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Jazakallah khair. Moving on now, the next question, a very, very important question. Is it authentic to do hijama on sunnah days? And if you can slightly clarify what is sunnah days?
Yeah, so there are some ahadith which state the 17th, 19th, and the 21st of every month that it is good, these are particularly good days to have hijama, which the Prophet ﷺ told us in various ahadith that it is a good form of, or is a cure for everything. Now, there are trained, qualified, and there are, mashallah, it's good to go to people who have experience and who are trained or qualified to do this, to do it on these particular days. But it doesn't mean you can't do it on any other day. You can do it on other days if there is a need. If you're busy around those days or you happen to miss one of those days, you do find a little bit that if you miss these sunnah days, then you can't do it.
Okay.
Okay, this is not correct to say. There is the better days to do it, but it is also permissible for you to do it on other days as well. Okay, and this is something that needs to be made clear to brothers and sisters.
Just in briefly 10-20 seconds. Now we see everywhere in Muslim areas popping up hijama centers and ruqya centers and all of that. We don't know what the qualification is. There are a lot of controversies perhaps on social media platform. As someone who wants to take this service, what should they do? What should they check?
What I would say is that by word of mouth, experience and qualifications is everything on this. And not just because something looks nice and they have lots of followers. This is not a criteria. Go by experience, by what they know, adherence to the Quran and Sunnah. This is the best thing you can look for, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you ever so much, Sheikh, for your beautiful nasiha and answering all those questions. Inshallah, we hope to see you again soon in our future episodes. With this, my dear viewers, we have come to the conclusion of our tonight's discussion. In short, the summary is that we may have different opinion, we may believe something, we may slightly disagree with something, but that doesn't mean we create a division. And we should always remember that we always should be united, whatever the circumstances are. And if we're not qualified about a particular topic or issue, let's make sure a qualified person deals with this subject or any of this issue. Inshallah, we'll be again back live, but tomorrow it's weekend, it's Saturday. So which means that it's a late night show, which will be aired 10 o'clock live with myself. And inshallah, the guest will be Sheikh there. So hopefully you will all tune in. And inshallah, we'll see you tomorrow again and Ask Eman, the late night show at 10 o'clock sharp. With this, we conclude. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Sheikh.
War and neglect has left nearly half of Yemen's population battling hunger. Many children are starving and facing death.